Still in awe of that those Lego slides, David, from last week.
Yeah, and then all the, all those boss voices.
Yes, that was brilliant. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't follow that session.
I assume you made all the voices, David.
Yeah, actually, I just asked AI to transcribe my voice into something, and that's what it came back with.
Hello, everybody. It's May 1st. Woo! It's gonna be May and all that. All right, welcome to the Viva Connections SharePoint Framework bi-weekly sync. I'm your host, Chris, and we got all sorts of stuff to talk about today. Agenda today, we got a whole bunch of community updates. There's always stuff going on all across our open source repos and toolings. We'll give you all the latest on all that. Then we will take a photo together, and then we've got a couple of awesome demos, right? So we've got this first one from Simon, where he's going to supercharge the Microsoft Planner with SharePoint Framework. Oh, yeah. And then we got Brian, who's going to be doing some localization with SPFx, which is always a very important topic and one you do not want to ignore until the end. So that will be fantastic. But let's go and get started in on our updates. So first off, if you are not aware, we have one link to rule them all. It can be found there at the bottom, and then most of these slides at that aka.ms/community/home. And if you head there, you can find all of these wonderful things. We've got a ton of YouTube videos for you, right? So including all of these calls, individual demos get broken up, and then all sorts of other things get brought in there. And then, of course, we have our LinkedIn group where you can join and have part of that discussion, right? You feel free to post there or have community discussions back and forth. And then we have all these open source repos full of tooling and a ton of samples, right? So we've got hundreds of samples across the Power Platform, to SPFx, to list formatting, and Copilot, and all sorts of things in between. And then, of course, we have all of our tooling like BNPJS, PowerShell, and everything else. So be sure to check all that out. And speaking of all those things, we've mentioned these calls. You're on one right now. Congratulations. But we have a bunch of these, right? So if you haven't added these to your calendar, you can go again to that community/calls, and you find a place where you can join directly there. You can add them to all your calendar, right? So you're always up to date. If you can't join during the day, again, we post these to YouTube within 24 hours, and you can watch them on double speed, and it sounds even crazier that way. A lot more fun. All right, but coming up next week, 6th of May, we've got our Power Platform Weekly Call. We've got Paolo, Sam, and Mark all doing demos. It should be really exciting. At least one of those guys is doing those demos from the M365 Community Conference in Vegas, so that's exciting. Woo! And if you're there, please stop by and see the rest of us that are there as well. We'd love to talk to you. And but if you would like to talk to everyone here on this call, you can do that too. So just fill out this form. We would love to have you present. That way you hear less of me, less of Hugo, right? And all these other guys that are always around. We would love to hear from you guys. See what you guys are out there doing, right? So again, it could be something that you've been working on for a long time that's really advanced that you don't want to share the code for. That's totally fine. Just show us what you're building. Or it could be something you literally started last week trying to figure this stuff out, and this is where you got with it, and you want to share that experience. That is extremely valuable as well. We would love to hear it, and we will coach you through that wherever you are with it, including slides and anything else about the presentation. So please let us know. All right, David, tell us all about this.
Yes, absolutely, Chris. So Sharing is Caring is coming up on May 19th, everybody. It is the gateway to contributing to the community. So if you're not familiar with GitHub and you want to do a pull request, or you're like, hey, I don't even know what a pull request is, but I want to contribute, we want to help you. These are live. They are on Teams. We are interactive, and they are a safe space, which means we do not record them, and you can ask any and all questions without fear of it being recorded. And we all always worry about that. If no one else is asking the question, should I ask the question? You absolutely should. And this is the place where you can do that and feel safe doing it. So keep an eye out at aka.ms/sharing is caring for that form, and we will get it set up soon. Now, once you do contribute, we, of course, want to recognize you for the amazing work that you are doing. And that is where our recognition program comes in, alive and well. So we have new badges, Prompt Pro, Snippet Sorcerer, and our newest React controls and property controls, along with modern search. And, of course, we are almost to May the 4th, so we are happy and excited for all of those Star Wars badges that are available to each and every single one of you. So all you got to do is opt in. We cover the cost of all these things, aka.ms/community/recognition, and we will track the wonderful work you're doing. Speaking of wonderful work, if you go to the next slide, we're going to see a little bit about the Copilot Dev Camp badges that are available. This is an initiative program that team is running, and Paolo has been doing some heavy lifting here, so we appreciate it. Check out aka.ms/copilot-dev-camp/awards. There are a limited number of badges for this particular campaign, so please get involved as soon as you can. And we want to actually thank all of those who have contributed. On that next slide, we see the amazing work that has been going on by our community members. So just got to go through, and you are absolutely being awarded for all these things. So thank you, everybody. As Paolo says, don't hesitate. There's only so many left and available, so please get involved, and we want to say thank you again. Chris, back to you.
Woo! All right, Vesa, you got some updates for us on that SharePoint Framework stuff?
Wow-wee, absolutely. So let's go to the following slide. So first of all, recapping 121 is now out as a GA version, where we, however, found few small things and misleading guidance and messages which are getting addressed. So if you go to the following slides, let's quickly recapping. The growth is still there. Usage is growing. It's unbelievable how much it's being used on every single day, which is really, really cool. But let's go to the following slide. We are looking into getting 121.1 out, which is addressing some of the small bugs. So as an example, when you're running against the local online workbench, you will get a message that, hey, the web part is not here. Actually, it is there. So there's kind of a small itchy bitchy things here with the 121. Nicely rendered, by the way, those emojis on those black boxes. Weird. Anyway, so
121.
Yes, it's a really nice emoji. But there's going to be 121.1, which is addressing those small findings. Other than that, seems to be pretty solid deployment. So the fixes are annoyance, but we need to get them fixed for sure for new people, so that people are not confused on the random messages which are getting along. And then in the future, React 18 support in the pipeline. The card web part for SharePoint is coming in early May. We just recorded a video on that one this week, so it's basically already ready to go. And then the Copilot, SPFx and Copilot integration, actually ACs in Copilot, cards in Copilot is already at the targeted release tenants. So if you have cards in Viva Connection and they make questions about the information which is in a card, you will actually see the cards also in the SharePoint agents, and that's how it works right now in preview. But that's a quick recap on what's happening on this site. More updates next week, actually, already in M365 conference. Should be good.
All right, well, let's talk through some of our open source projects, and we'll start off with Adam. Give us an update on the blog.
Yeah, so this time we have 4 new blog posts. The first one is about, usually we don't show off here our internal product, but this one is really huge because it's a major release of the PMP partial, so the V3, so the very thing we are waiting for, done by Erwin van Hoeven. And if you are really interested and you are using this product, be sure to give it a read. The team has done really a lot of improvements to this product and some breaking changes as in every major release, so be sure to check them out. We have another blog post from Eimer Thomas, so about an app, or let's say a solution he created for the SharePoint hackathon and for a newsletter contest. Then we have one blog post from me, and I will be talking about this in the SPFx Toolkit slide as well. But basically, we have 2 new maintainers to the SharePoint Framework Toolkit repository, Nico and Sarbaf. And if you'd like to meet them, read this blog post where they say a bit about them in their own words. And then the last one was done by Roel Adams, introducing the My News subscription solution by Jelly Bean Consultancy. So a really nice read. And also, I think the one with the SharePoint Hackathon and this one are leveraging our PMP modern search web parts under the hood. So also nice to see this in action. Every voice matters. If you want to contribute, you can of course do so, and if you do so, you will get a blog author badge. Happy coding, blogging. Back to you, Chris.
Woohoo! All right. And did you know we have a Copilot prompt library? Well, you do now. Congratulations! Wow. So if you've got some cool stuff that you're working with Copilot, right? You figured out a way to make it do all of your bidding, or whatever, right? And you want to share that with others. We would love to have that. Or if you're looking for some inspiration and you're tired of just looking at a blank box and wondering what this thing can actually do, right? Come check it out for some inspiration. And you might even be featured as our prompt of the week, like Guillermo here, right? So this was all about release notes in Markdown, which is pretty awesome, right? So it'll take a look at all that and format that exactly what you want. And the idea here is automating something you're doing pretty often, right? And getting that format kind of pre-agreed on, and that is awesome. So be sure to check that out. And again, if you've got one to share, we would love to have it. All right, and Bo, why don't you tell us all about PNP.js?
Yeah, thank you. So version 4.12 was released this past month. It was pretty small. It was just some package updates and documentation updates. I got a new laptop and found out that I couldn't develop PNP.js on it. So on Windows 11, there were some issues, so I fixed that. Version 5 we're currently working on now. If you go to our repo, we have a projects tab up top where you can see what we're going to work on. If you have any feedback for us or things that you want in V5, let us know. If you are going to be at the Microsoft conference next week, we do have a session happening on Thursday to talk about PNP.js and what's happening in V5 and how to get started. And as always, you can install it via npm at pnp/sp. Back to you, Chris.
All right. Woohoo! All right, and Gary, would you like to tell us all about the CLI?
I can, thanks, Chris. So CLI for Microsoft 365 version 10.6 release. So we've got new commands for managing open extensions in Microsoft Graph, removing members from a group in Microsoft Entra ID. As Vesa already mentioned earlier in the call about the new version of SharePoint Framework 1.21, we've added upgrade support for new versions of SharePoint Framework, so you can upgrade your projects nice and easily. And we've also got a new sample that uses CLI, which is get all parent flows, which uses a specific child flow. So if you're doing anything Power Automate, that might be useful for you. If you want to try out the latest version, you can get that from npm and Docker. Just use the @latest tags. If you want to find out all the details of all the other changes, minor changes in this release, go to aka.ms/CLI-M365/notes. You find all the release notes. On to the next slide, Chris. Okay, so we've just released a new version of Dev Proxy. This is 0.27. We released this earlier this morning. So this now adds support for generating type spec definitions from the intercepted request. So this is where we generate the code, which you can then use to generate open API specs. Really cool stuff. If you've not had a look at it, go and look at the type spec docs. It's really, really interesting. We've also created an experimental Dev Proxy MCP server. So now you can configure Dev Proxy using natural language, using our documentation on Microsoft Learn. It's really, really cool. If you want to try that out in Visual Studio Code, you can do that in the Insiders build. We've got an experimental version of our VS Code extension, which includes that MCP server. So go and try that out. Use the aka.ms link to find the special branch and download for that. And other enhancements, so we've made some improvements to the JSON schemas, so you get better tooltips and enhancements, and improvements for incepting URLs, but also reloading mocks as well. So we know this has been a problem for people. So you can change a mock and it'll just become available. You don't have to stop and start. Also, a new version of the Dev Proxy Toolkit with some extra commands, and our next version is going to come out at the end of this month. And Chris, back to you.
Wowee, that's insane stuff. Nice work. And speaking of nice work, Alex, tell us all about the reusable controls.
Yep, thank you, Chris. So yesterday we released new versions for both React controls and property controls, and I have an issue on the slide. It should be React controls in the first line and then property controls for 3.20. But anyway, both repos were released yesterday. This is the release. Thank you. This is our release after the March challenge, the Reaper Rescue one. So we have a lot of improvements. We have 3 new controls, we have new localization, and a lot of contributors. And thank you very much for your help with the repo. And go enjoy the new versions of the libraries. And please let us know if there are any issues. And feel free to create new bugs or create new pull requests. We'll be really happy. And back to you, Chris.
Oh, sorry about that.
No worries.
Dropped my mouse. All right. let's move on here. So, Adam, you're back around. Let's talk about that toolkit.
Yeah, it's fine. So SharePoint Framework Toolkit is a VS Code extension that will boost your productivity in developing SharePoint Framework solutions. And we had a minor release, 4.6, which introduced support for the SPFx 1.21. So all the setup, upgrade, validate, scaffolding, a CI/CD pipeline for your solution. Everything now is aligned with the latest release of SPFx. And we had 2 new pre-releases that more are code-based refactoring and improving of our products. And the big news, which I already kind of said on today's call, we have 2 new maintainers, Nico and Sarubak, which will joining the maintainers of the SPFx Toolkit team. I will helping. They already helped a lot in this product. We're really active for a very long time. They are regular contributors of this product, and since they already did a lot of stuff in this product, why don't they just come and join and then now maintain it now? So that's what I'm actually going to do. And I'm posting the link to the blog post where they introduced themselves. So just you can give it a read and see that we are all maintainers, are standard, normal people, nobody bites. And if you want to contribute, please do. And happy coding, everybody. Back to you, Chris.
I heard some bite. All right, Casper, what we got here? Got that search.
Well, speaking of contributors, we have a grant feature which was added by Patrick Helgren, and that is where we can have our MDT person hover card as well. Now it can actually be translated into your own language, so it will be localized. That's a great feature that he has added recently, and it is for the next release. But as you can see on the slide, well, the current one is 4.16, but 4.17 was actually released in pre-release this morning, and I'm going through the pages right now, making sure that we don't release anything with bugs in it. So I hope that we'll have a new release by mid next week or something like that. So but keep an eye on our profiles on that one, because we will, of course, publish it there, and we'll also publish it on the GitHub as well. So we've got a lot of new features coming up in about a week's time. So I hope that will be something that you can enjoy as well. Back to you, Chris.
Ooh, all right. Hugo, tell us all about these things.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So we have the PnP SPFx samples, where they are samples of web parts and extensions that you can use within your environment. This is the latest that we have from the last 2 weeks. I'd like to thank Sandeep, Harminder, Peter Paul, Nirav, Sudeep, Bill, Valeris for their contributions. You can find all the latest samples by going to aka.ms/community/samples, and everyone is welcome to contribute. If you have cool web part or extensions you'd like to share, please submit a pull request. That's it for me. Back to you.
Awesome. All right. Derek, want to tell us about those aces?
Aces. We have no new aces, so I need new aces to be submitted. Please. And that's back to you, Chris.
Wow! All right. Well, we'd love some more. All right, David, go for it.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Chris. So yes, and with Vegas next week, by the way, that's a perfect time to submit an ace, right? You can an ace in the hole kind of thing. Yes, excellent. Okay, so we should be seeing all of our fantastic faces on the screen. We're a little over time. We only have 2 presenters today, so I think we're in okay shape. If you want to take a moment and activate that camera, turn that smile on. We've got an opportunity here to show the community how amazing you all are, and so we really appreciate everything you're doing. Vess is geared and ready to go with those hands. He's got it going everywhere. Okay, we'll give it just another second, everybody, and we'll start the recording. Let's do the countdown. 3, 2, 1. All right, let's wave to the community, everybody. Great to see you all. See some faces showing up still there. So wonderful. We'll capture them here at the end. We'll keep waving because it's what we can do, right? We control it, everything. All right, great to see you all. Thank you again. Chris, back to you.
Woo! Beautiful. Mostly beautiful, I'll say. There we go. All right, so let's jump over to our first demo. Let's see. So our first demo today is Simon. So if you're ready, Simon, you can feel free to take over.
I will do that. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Sure can.
Cool. Right. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all. Today, I want to have a chat with you. And anyway, thanks for as well letting me do this session. Talking about supercharging Planner with SharePoint Framework and app-powered tasks. So let's get into it. So this is me, Simon Doy, an MVP in the M365 and M365 dev space. Owner of iThink. I run a user group. It's going to be 11 years old this year actually as well, and I've been doing this stuff for a while now, so I'm getting quite old. But the agenda today, we've got to start off with why would you want to use app-powered tasks? So we'll talk about that. We'll explain what they are, and then we'll do a demo and then do an overview of the code, and hopefully I will get this all done within the time I've got. So first of all, why? So what if you could see all the things that you need to get done, all the tasks, all in one place? Got that central source of truth, and that wouldn't just be tasks which are just Microsoft 365. It could be tasks to do with external systems, maybe business processes and more. Just having that one place where all the things you need to get done is there in one place. And what about if you had control, like full control over how those tasks are action and process? Maybe there's a wizard that you'd go through. We're devs, we like to have control. So imagine that. In my opinion, I think that Planner should be the place to manage your tasks in Microsoft 365, and actually just in general in your business and your organization. And so that's what we're looking to achieve. And of course, we need to be able to access this via SharePoint and through connections too, which we can do with those great ACE cards that Derek was talking about earlier. So we've got access whether we are a laptop or on a mobile phone through the Teams app, through that dashboard. The problem is that Planner does have some issues out of the box. For example, users can delete tasks, their own tasks. They can edit each other's tasks. They can delete tasks which don't belong to them. And we don't have that control of the user interface. Maybe you want to capture some more information. Well, you can't sort of customize that user interface. So that's where Planner app-powered tasks come in. They integrate directly into Planner, as you can see on the screenshot to the right of you. They integrate into Microsoft Teams as well, so they use Teams apps. And we've got full control of the user interface. The one thing that I do need to bring to your attention is that they are built on the Business Scenarios Graph API, and the API is currently in beta. Chatting with the Planner team, they're really looking to get feedback on these APIs, on this solution, so that they can get it into GA. So here's just a quick overview of how it might look, and we'll go into a demo shortly. So it's all nicely integrated into Teams, so there's no messing about going from one app to another, which is really nice. What do you need? What do you need to build these? Well, first of all, you need Planner. You do need to create a Microsoft ID application, an entry ID application, which is going to be the owner of the plan and the business scenario plan, and going to be creating the tasks and managing those tasks. In this example, we have an SPFx Teams app, which why would you not use SharePoint Framework to do this? And we then have an Azure function to process the activities from that Teams app. So as you can see, Planner calls something called a Teams staging URL, which opens up your Teams app in a nice dialog, and then that's going to show our SPFx application, and then that application is going to work with the tasks using the Azure Function API. So let's go into a demo. Our demo is this. An often needed solution is read receipts. So organizations often need employees to confirm they've read a document, or a policy. Maybe you're doing something with AI. Maybe there's that thing, that Copilot thing, which you need to make sure that people understand how to use it and using the right tools within your business. Maybe not using ChatGPT or and using Copilot instead. In this solution, we need to be able to audit and provide proof that the users have read this document, and we really don't want others to be able to edit someone else's task, or even worse, users be able to delete these tasks to go and read this document. So it's demo time. Let's show you what this looks like, and this is in homage to April and David's presentation last week. So what we've got. We've got Postman, we've got an Azure function, as we said, and we're using Postman just to kind of simulate the creation of a business scenario task. Some things I want to just highlight. This external ID, this is the ID which we're going to use to look up and find our business scenario tasks, and these IDs need to be unique and for every task you've got. And I'm using, I've sort of got into the habit of using kind of a prefixed bit of text around the business scenarios. Maybe it's the business process. I'm using a date, time, and then the person who we're going to assign it to. So I'm going to just update that ID, and I'm going to click send. And what's going to happen, all being well, all the demo odds being with us, is it's going to create a task. And then on within Planner. So fortunately, that's taken a bit of time. We've got a 204. So let's just flip to Teams and let's find the right team. There we go. And we should see that we've got some activity. So we can see here that the organization has assigned a task, and here is our task. And it's not quite worked. It's always the way, isn't it, with demos? Let me just quickly go into Planner, because it looks a bit better in here. So I'll go into this one, and I'm going to open up here. So I just wanted to show off because you get a nice word icon and things in here. So I click on this. Now it's the UI is caught up. So in here we've now got very similar UI as we expect from Planner, but everything's read-only here. We've got an indicator that there's this is an app-powered task. We've got this little app icon, and I've got a button here to start the task. So I'll click on this, and it's going to pop up using that team staging link, our Teams app. And here, as you'd expect from a task application, we've got some information about the task, what the title is. We've got a description over what we need to do for the task and how many % it's complete. And we've got a link to the guide, which I could click on, and that'll pop up a window. I can then confirm that I've read the content. I might need to provide the level of understanding that I fully understood the content. And, I can click on save, and that will process our task. If I was a bit of a better dev, I'd probably get that to close as well, but anyway, there we go. But what's that going to do? Well, that will then talk to our Azure function and tell it to complete the task and show that. And we should see this get crossed out. And if I look at the task in here, we will then see that it's refreshed and close that task. And no longer can we work with that task anymore. It's all been completed. We can see some notes in here which have been added to provide some audit of what happened. So we can see that the task has been completed and the level of understanding that was passed through as well. So that's a quick demo, and I can see I've got about 5 minutes left. So great. I'm going to switch back to my slides. So next we're going to do is just sort of go through an overview of the code. And then I will share some links and some resources for you to be able to try this stuff out. So let's start with the SharePoint Framework solution first. I hurriedly hid all the API keys because I thought that might be bad if I show those. So we've got a SharePoint Framework solution. This has been built, it's quite a while ago now, using the Teams Toolkit. And it's not doing anything too spectacular. it's creating our special service, which we're going to use to interact with that Azure function. And it's a couple of things I really want to highlight. One of the challenges I had when building this was, how am I going to pass in which task someone is going to which task someone needs to see? And so you have the ability within the Teams URLs to be able to pass through a subpage ID, and we're using that to hold which task needs to be loaded. So when I go into the Visual Studio C# code, then I'll highlight that. But we grab the task ID, and then we can then use that to go and grab the data. This will load up our interface. So a habit we've got into, iThink, is using Formic for our forms. So this is loading up the task with all the ID and the title and description and all that good stuff. We've got the link to the content, and as you saw in the demo, here's where we've got the toggle and the drop downs. Once we go through, the user clicks on this submit button, it's going to call a function within our service, and we've got a few service functions here. One to get that task, one to update the task, and then one to complete it as well. So this is what we saw when we clicked on the save, and it completed that task and called our Azure function. So all good stuff. If I flip over to the .NET code, which is the Azure function, this is where kind of more of the interactions with business scenarios, the APIs is going. So we've got this create, connect, sync, plan function, which basically is called, every plan needs to be hosted within a Microsoft 365 group. So we have this business scenario group target. We need to load in some configuration settings. We need to get the details around our Enter ID app, and then create this business scenario group target. We go through, we just check to make sure that the business scenario exists, and if it doesn't exist, we're going to create it. The thing is the app which owns this plan, and so you can see that we are passing in, we can pass a list of client IDs, so application IDs, which own that plan, so it doesn't have to be just one, and we're going to create that business scenario. Once we've done that, we're going to build up this sort of plan reference and start to configure our plan with the different buckets and things in there, which is what all this is doing. I really want to get to the creating the task, so I'll just push through here. Within business scenarios, we can sort of configure the plan and what things can happen on it. So we can say whether activities are allowed or blocked. So we can, for example, stop people deleting tasks, maybe block people from changing the percent complete or moving things around. So you can actually, with business scenarios, control the planner. There is some work that needs to be happening on the user experience, but it does work. It just gives some interesting error messages sometimes. But that will then go and create our plan. And if we move then to the last part of it here, which is creating a business scenario task. Again, we're loading up our Enter ID. We took in that JSON object when we saw from the demo and deserialized that. And that'll give us information around what the task ID and the links to the content which we need to see. And about 30 seconds. This is the hardest part, was creating these app links, and I just would call you to have a look at the blog guide and the code. We have to create this content object which has a Teams app ID and a link to the component within your Teams tab along with that link. And yeah, that's what we're going to create through. We create these external entities, and that's how Planner knows how to open up. And I'm going to just finally flip over to, you can see I'm running out of time, to the resources. So there's 3 resources here. There's a link to a blog series around app-powered tasks. There's a link to a Microsoft Learn article on managing and the app-powered tasks. And finally, there's a link to the GitHub repo. So have a look at that. I'm always here. Just give us a shout on Blue Sky, and I will hand back to Chris.
Awesome. Really great job. A lot of excitement in the chat and a lot of reactions as well. Excellent work. And but we're going to go ahead and jump over to Brian, make sure Brian's got enough time. So Brian, if you're ready, go ahead and share your screen and we'll talk about some localization.
We're here to talk about SPFx custom localization. So localizing SPFx web parts for the pages rather than the user's language. Again, Brian McCullough, longtime listener, first-time caller. So I've been on the other side of things for a long time, and I contributed a sample a little while back to the PMP samples, and then was asked to present. So I said, why not? So first time presenting here. So before I get going, I want to thank everybody that's been involved in the community to make this presentation so easy and so welcoming for me. So thanks for everything. That's how to get a hold of me. I don't have any badges on my slide like Simon does, but hopefully maybe I get one after this. Anyways, all right, so the problem. Working on some stuff for a customer, and they were trying to send communications and having those communications localized to folks. So French-speaking folks would go to a French page, and Spanish-speaking folks would go to a Spanish page, etc. And what we were seeing is like we could get the folks to get to the right page, but what we were seeing is if the users if the web settings or the users settings in their browser weren't configured to map to things, they were seeing the untranslated version. So for example, here I'm viewing a French page, or what should be a French page, but the web part was not localized to French because my browser settings and everything else about my M365 profile said that I was English speaking, but all of the content around the web part was French. And so what is the solution? So what we did is we wrote a little code into the web parts and detected the if we were on a translated version of a page, and then pulled in the correct translations and displayed them within the web part itself. Right. And that's it. Not a lot of slides here, so we're just going to go right into I think the code. So let me stop sharing this. Let me instead share the demo. Oh, I'm sorry. So we're going to look at the demo page first. So here I have the SharePoint Online page. Again, an English page. So we're just going to go ahead and request the translations. We're going to create them all. Okay. And so again, when we go over to the French version of the page, the web part strings are still pulling in all of the English stuff based on my settings. Now, I thought that there might have been something in the page context or something that would allow me to do that. I looked at the culture info, but I didn't see anything in there. You can see it's still pointing at English US. So again, if anybody on the call knows of a way to do this better or differently or anything like that, like I'm all ears. I don't claim to be an authority here or anything like that. So then again, so what we do, put the page in edit mode. We'll just go to the web part here, settings. And we'll change the localization mode. Instead of being the default, we're going to change it to detect based on the page. And then once we do that, we can see that we're correctly pulling in our translations from the localization files here. Right? So we can go ahead and publish that page then. And now when I come to the page, I will see the French translations of things. Cool. Okay. So when we initialize the web part, we just go ahead and load up the localization string. So what we do is we'll default to pulling in the strings based on the default configuration. But if we are configured to use a different version of the localization mode, then what we'll first do is we'll get the locale from the URL. So it just takes the localization mapping and then gives us the 4-character code to do the localization. And then what we'll do then is we will try to get the appropriate localization file from the loc directory over here and pull that in, and then we overlay that on top of the rest of the strings. And then all we do is take those strings, and when we are rendering the web parts, in this case it's React, but we then pass those strings down to the other components so that then those components can then display the strings appropriately. So I think that's really about it. Sorry, I didn't take up a whole lot of time, but I really wanted to kind of get that one out there. Again, I put that sample out there, and again, if there's other folks out there that know of other ways to do it, please just drop it in the comments, or feel free to let me know. Cool, thanks.
Awesome, thanks so much, Brian. Again, very important topic. Really appreciate that. Taking a look at that, and now I will read these slides very slowly. Is that a good? I'm just kidding. But we'll probably just wrap up early unless Vesta jumps on with a different plan here. But I'll go ahead and cover these for now. Thank you very much to our presenters and everybody with all the updates. If you enjoyed parts of this call, or if you'd like to see things different, we got suggestions or feedback, either negative or positive, we would love to hear it. Please go to this link. It's another one of those forms. Fill it out. Let us know. Again, you could let us know anything from you don't like certain parts of the format to you would like to see more demos on certain topics. So we would love to hear from you from that. And then, of course, if you'd like to reach out directly, and have a conversation back and forth, there's always our Discord server. If you haven't joined that, there are, oh man, we got almost 3,000. I was about to say 2,000. It's gotten even crazier. And you'll see that we've got all sorts of connections there with the blogs and things coming in, and then we've got all sorts of different areas where you can have live chats and reach out. Adam is usually on there as well, so he's never busy with anything, not like a toolkit or anything. So you can bug him anytime you want and ask those kind of questions, or any of the rest of us. Feel free. We'd love to meet you over there or on our LinkedIn group. And then finally, thank you very much. If you'd like to watch this again, we will be posting it on YouTube in 24 hours, and you can slow it down and get all the details from these demos and really kind of dive in with what's going on there. And that's it for us. Otherwise, if you are in Vegas next week, we would love to talk with you. We'll be around at all sorts of different events and sessions. There's several of us there. Love to talk to you in person. And that's it. That's it for me. Wowee! Thanks, everybody.